Appreciate everybody kind of joining, and we're still going to have a few more people join, so I'll talk for a few minutes and just kind of give some overview of the meeting that we're having today. So thank you very much for attending. It's great to see everybody from the Yen project getting together and able to join. Hopefully you've all received the email, and you probably have if you're on this call last Friday, and maybe had a chance to actually get on. But before we're going to have a couple of poll questions just to guide us this morning, just to wonder kind of where everybody's at, so that we can kind of put this training session together to fit what your needs are. So one of the questions, the two questions that we have that come up here, if you could just kind of check them off and identify overall, how does your wheat look right now? And just give us kind of an indication. And also, have you been able to reset your CropTrak password, get logged into the system? And there's a third question. If you scroll down, there's a third one, and it's, do you prefer to do data entry on your computer or on the app? And that'll help guide us through our discussion here this morning, and we'll focus on the one that most people are going to be utilizing. So if you could do that while I keep talking, and we'll take a look at that poll afterwards. But just want to do a couple of introductions. And myself, Marty Vermey, I should introduce myself. I'm the Senior Agronomist of Grain Farmers of Ontario. And Grain Farmers of Ontario are happy to support this project and working with growers to get more yield data and information, and try to help farmers understand where yield comes from, and try to see what kind of improvements we can make in yield in the Great Lakes area. So I'm glad to be here and part of this project. Also want to introduce Dennis Pennington. Dennis is an extension specialist. Probably a lot of people know Dennis. A lot of great articles, a lot of information Dennis has provided over the years, and a key contributor to this project. Also want to introduce Sophie. Sophie comes to us OMAFRA, and Sophie is filling in for Joanna. You probably know Joanna Fallings from last year and involved in this project. And she's an extension specialist in Ontario. And Sophie is going to be taking the 1-year contract, filling that position. So thank you, Sophie, for joining us. Also, Greg Farnsworth is with us. He's from CropTrak. And some of the technical questions we may have today, we may need to rely, and Dennis will rely on Greg as far as answering some of those questions on the actual app or on the computer model of the CropTrak program. Dennis is going to lead us through kind of the app and how we kind of get on and do a bunch of stuff. Sophie is going to help out with the Q&A. So if you have any questions at all today, put them in the chat so then Sophie can kind of keep an eye on it, and we can kind of gauge those questions and then have those answered throughout the session. And then we'll make sure that we got about 15 minutes at the end to cover off any questions you may have. If you even have questions about the end project itself and you want to kind of communicate it here, we have opened up Twitter channels, Facebook, and we're trying to get as much social interaction with the group as possible. But if you have any other suggestions or any other questions, please let us know. Now is a great opportunity to do it.
First thing I want to show you is how to reset your password. And I'll actually show you what it looks like. And I will do a live resetting of password and then show you how to get logged in, how to do it on the web if you want to do it on your computer. And then I'll also kind of show you how to do it. And I'm going to use my iPad. It looks the same on a phone. It works with Android as well as iOS. So I'll show you how that works. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about syncing and saving, because depending on whether you're using the app or online, there's some stuff that you need to be cognizant of there. And then we're going to go through how to enter a field, how to enter Agronomist if you have one. And then we're going to go through these different things for data reporting right now. And then we do have some things that will be coming later. We don't currently have built into the system the soil and tissue test data, but we will upload that into the system for you. We're getting the data from the lab, and we will just automatically import that. When we do that, then you will be able to see the data on your end. And we don't have the harvest data collection yet launched in the app. So we do have a few more things coming in the app, and so look for those coming down the road. But one of the things that I want to make sure that you're aware of, if you're using the app, there's a couple different things here that you need to be cognizant of. If you're in the Chrome browser, you start entering data, you got to make sure you hit save your form. And that's this little icon in the upper right corner. And it will say on your screen, save your new form after you've entered your data. In the app, it's a little bit different. It's this little disk looking icon up here in the upper right of your screen. In this particular case, I'm in the background information there. So you got to make sure you hit that save button. And if you don't hit save, it'll pop up a window that says, are you sure you want to exit without saving? So make sure you save. But the other thing that's key is this Synchronize button right here. This needs to be your very first step when you go in on the app and your last step when you leave the app. Because if we've made any changes on our end, what that sync button does at the beginning is it brings down all those changes so that all the stuff that you see on your display will be reflected of the most current version. And then at the end, after you've entered your data in that, even though you hit save here, you've saved it on your local device. The Synchronize button sends everything up to the server, and then it will show up if you log in on the web. So like almost 3/4 of you said you plan to do it in both places, and you're going to want to see the data in both places. So make sure you do the Synchronize button when you start doing data entry, and then when you end doing data entry, if you're doing it on the app every time. If you're doing it on the web version, all you got to do is just save every time you enter data in there. You don't have to synchronize if you're working off from the app or working off from it in the browser. And I said Chrome browser down here because that's the one that is supported by CropTrak. You can use other browsers, but sometimes the display might be a little bit different. So I would recommend using the Chrome browser if you can to do the data entry there. So just want to make sure you're aware of this synchronizing issue. Make sure you do that at the beginning and at the end of every time you want to enter data. So with that in mind, let's switch gears here and let's go to getting started. So you should have got some emails that look like these three things right here. So you got an email from Greg and you got 2 of them from support. So I'm going to go in here. The first thing I'm going to do is go into this website or into this email. And then I've got to reset my password. And basically I'm setting my password for my login. So I'm going to type in the password I want. Oops, there. And then you have to verify, you have to type it again and make sure you type the same thing twice. And then you hit the reset button. And then it says password was reset successfully. So now I can click on this button to proceed to login. And that is all you have to do to reset your password. So now when you log in, it's got your email address here. And then this password is what I just typed in. And if I hit login, notice it tells me now it knows what server to connect to and which database. And now I'm into the system. Now, some of you will have this filter is not turned on. So if I shut this all off, you come in here and it'll look like there's nothing in the window to do. So if that's the case, you click on this filter button right here, and then you got to turn on whichever one you're using. If you're in, you can turn them both on because whichever field you're in, it'll show up for your location. So if you don't see anything down here in the work list area, go in here and select all in this filter and hit apply. And then you've got your stuff starting to show up. Now, the rest of the data entry is not available as of yet. I'll show you that here in a minute. But what I wanted to do here first is come back to your email. And so we did the first thing, which is reset the password. The next email is this domain key or domain code. So if we open that up, we need this number in order to do it on the app. So let me back up here and go into this email. So this email gives you some instructions here. It tells you what your username is, and then the domain key is also listed here again. And so the instructions tell you that you can download the CropTrak mobile app from either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. So what I want to do is I want to show you what that looks like. So are you seeing my iPad now? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I'm going to go in here and search. Now what you search for is pretty important. You want to type in CropTrak just the way it is spelled, T-R-A-K. If you don't type T-R-A-K, there are a number of CropTrak apps that will show up, but make sure you spell it C-R-O-P-T-R-A-K. That is the official spelling for the company. I hit the search button, and there's the CropTrak app. And it should look like, you'll get familiar with this little green plant looking icon. That is the proper icon for the CropTrak that we're using. Now, I already have it downloaded, so mine says open. But what you do is you click on the little cloud and download it and install it, and then you're ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click on open. And so now it brings me up to the login. So now I got to type in my username, my password, and then I've got to go get that domain key. So I'm going to type in my username. gmail.com. And then I'm going to type in my password. And then I've got to go get the domain key, but that is, remember, that is in your email, and it's either here or it is back in this email as well. It's in both places. So I've got to put this number in letters into the iPad. So I'm going to type in 57878. Looks like 4 6s, 1 2 3 4, and then 1FA. And so now, once I have that typed in there, I'm going to close my screen or my keypad down here, and now I can hit the submit button, and it is preparing the device, and it will start downloading the data to it here in just a second. Now, you only have to do this one time. Once you have the domain key in here, and then so make sure you click download the database next. And it says it might take a few seconds. That's fine. So just hit yes. And then you start to see it downloading, and you'll see it scrolling up here. So once you have this done, it'll take you directly to the login, and you don't have to, all you have to do is use your email and password to log in. You don't have to do this downloading. You only do this once to get your device set up. Now, if you're going to do it on an iPad and on your phone, which you can do, you'll have to do this on each device. And if you want to do that, I may have to get you another domain key. So if you want to use it on more than one device, you're going to have to let me know that. So this is downloading right now, and we're getting the app set up. And once this is completed, then we'll go back into the, so I'm gonna move this out of the way a second, let that finish up. I'm gonna go back to CropTrak. And so I'm still in here now. I don't see my background planting, fertilizer applications, or any of that stuff yet. I'll show you how to do that. We have to enter a field first. So what I need you to do is name the field that you're going to be using for this project. And then I want you to go put a GPS point on that field. And I'll show you how to do it here on the computer before I show you on the tablet or on the iPad. So if I click on add a field, it brings me here, and you've got to open this form. This should be your yen ID here. And this MI099 is a temp one that Greg created for me just to do this demonstration. So once you click on the add a field, and notice you can toggle between these here. Once the rest of them, you get in here and add your field, the rest of them will show up here, and you can toggle between them here. But go in and open the form. And then when you get in here, so this will just tell you what your yen ID is up here. And it'll reference it there. It'll say I have one field left to add. So I go down here and I type in the field name, and I'm going to call this hill field, or whatever you name the field. And then you can digitize here. So you click on this little polygon looking button, and then that will load up. And then so what you do is you can zoom in and out on this to locate the field you're at. And I'm going to put this right here in this field. and you can zoom it. Generally, it will go to where the location is where you're working from. So you go down here and click add a point. And then I can go out here and notice I got the crosshairs. I can go out here and say, well, I'm going to pull my or do my test area right here. So you want to put that point right in the center of your test area. Now, if you were going to do your test area at the back of the field, or even if you're going to put it, maybe over in the next field over here, I mean, place this wherever you're going to be in the center, because what we can do from here is we can get the soil type data from that. So I don't think this worked. Oh, I hit the little, nope, add point. All right, Greg, what am I doing wrong here?
You save the point up here right above you before you save the form. So you save the point first there. Click
Okay,
that,
save it right here.
and that saves the point. And then now it's marked. Now you can
Okay.
save the form under apply.
Thank you. So make sure you hit save right here, and then it will show up there, and then hit apply. And then now you're back here. So now this is done. You've got it named. Now go up here and hit save. See, notice it says save your form here. So hit the save button. Now you can come up here and back out of it with this arrow, or you can hit the CropTrak logo up here, and this will take you all the way back to the main screen. But notice now I have all these other data collection things up here, and I'm going to take you back to the main screen because that's usually where I work from. So now instead of just add a field and add an agronomist, now I have these other things that show up. The reason that these don't show up is because they are driven off from the add a field. So once you add the field, then that is, it'll update and so on. And then you can go in here and add an agronomist. And even if you don't have one, I would ask that you come in here and do it. So you have to click open the form in here again. And it's pretty simple. It's got your NID here. Would you like to give your agronomist permission to access your data in CropTrak? So you say either yes or no. If I say no, that's it. You save it and you're done. If you want to give your agronomist access to your data in here and have them help you enter data, you hit yes, and then you can provide their information. So I want this guy to do my stuff, and here's his email address. And then the last question is, would you like the agronomist to be included as a recipient for all grower communication? That means that when we send email and notices through here, do you want the agronomist to receive those, or do you want to be the primary person to get them, and then you just forward what information you want them to have? I'm going to say yes, because I want the agronomist to get everything. I come up here and hit save. And then I can go hit the back arrow here. And now it says done, and it says that I have provided an agronomist. If I would have said no, that I don't want an agronomist, this would say done, and this would be blank, okay? Because you said no. So let me go back to the main screen here, and then the app is done. So let me bring this back in here, and I'll show you. Let's hit OK here. And I'll show you what it looks like on this end. Oh, we got to hit the arrow back. All right, so now we've got to log in, and notice the domain key is gone, and we just got our username, we got our password, and then it knows what database, based on the domain key, it knows where to log into. So let me just type in my password, and there we go, and I'm going to hit login. And so what you're not seeing on what's showing on my screen, it's not showing up here, is, you know how your phone or iPad says, this app wants to use your location. You can either tell it yes to use the location or not. That's up to you. So I'm going to tap allow it while using the app, and then it'll finish logging in. And so here we're in just like we were before. Here's that synchronize button that I told you got to hit every time you go in and go out. So let me go ahead and hit that synchronize button. It brings you to here, tap the green bar at the bottom, Synchronize Changes. So you do this at the beginning and the end. This shouldn't take too long to do usually. Okay. Okay, so success, database synchronization complete. You hit OK here, and then down here at the bottom, hit done. And now, because we entered the data in here for the field in the Agronomist, now when we synchronized, if I go into the add field here, so when you, let me go back here, when you add a field here online, you have to open this form. Well, that page looks different on the app. On the app, it looks like this. So what you have to do is hit the select, the check mark there, and notice when you do that, it turns green. I have some options down below here. The check mark is like a go. The H is history. So you can see what has been entered in here before. And then this little icon down at the bottom is the plus. That's to add something new. So if you were doing fertilizer applications and you just made your first spring application, you'll want to go down here and hit the plus to add something new. If you hit the little pickup, it'll give you driving directions to your field. But so I'm going to hit the H for history. And notice it already noticed, because I typed in hill field before, I can go up here and tap that, and it has this information in here. I can go over here and see where I actually placed that dot, and I've got to zoom out because it's zoomed in too far. So there it is in that field.
Quick question.
Yes.
We don't have a field yet because we're going to do it on our iPad, so we're behind.
Okay. So
We need to know how to get a field on the iPad. We know what the field is, but
okay, so if you haven't decided on exactly which field you're planning to use, just pick a field, one of your fields, and then you can go back in later and when you do know what field you're going to do, move that point to the correct field.
I know which field, but I've been working on this one. I don't know how to select it. In other words, I find the field, I got the field, I don't know how to select it on the iPad.
On the iPad. Okay. All right. So let me go back out of here. I'm going to hit the X and the X again. And
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
This is Greg. Yeah, if you swipe to the left, you'll get the delete. You can delete it and then redo it to show it on the iPad. With your finger, just swipe. No, go back into it, into the history. And then with your finger, just swipe that add a field slowly to the left.
Okay.
On your iPad. There you go. And then you can delete it. And then that will allow you to redo it from scratch to demonstrate it on the iPad.
Perfect. Thanks, Greg. Okay, so now I just deleted the history that we have there. So now on the iPad, I'll show you how to do it. So you'll want to go in, you'll hit the select button. This will be your yen ID. Hit the green check mark, and then you want to hit the add new at the bottom. And so it tells you what your yen ID is, that you have one more field to add. So if you go into field name, you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it hill field again. And then I'm going to hit the little thing to make the keyboard go away. Now you can go into here and hit the little arrow. And now usually what it'll do is it will bring you to, if you told the app to allow it to use GPS location, it should locate where you are. I use two fingers to scroll here. I'm actually use two fingers to zoom. So this is where I'm at. I'm at the Mason Research Farm here. So I'm going to drag this out, and I'm just going to put this out here in this field. So what you want to do is you want to go in here and hit the arrow, and see where it says make a point. Tap make a point, and then notice your point appears, and you can move that by putting your finger on it. You can drag that point wherever you want it. So place the point, and then when you have that done, there's a little green or a little check mark here up in the upper right. Tap that, and then the way you know you've got it in here is this little green dot appears. It was not there before. That means that the field has been selected. And then you go back up here and hit the save button. And then notice down here, when you did that, it says form saved. Now I can hit the X to get out of here. And then notice on the app, it says the status, you got the green check mark, which means it is done. Okay. If you're having more trouble, let me know and I'll work with you offline here to get that figured out. So that's the way it works in the app. So let's go in and do background. While I got the app up here on the iPad, let's just go ahead and start here. So I'm going to click on background. And then, so I'm not sure why I have two showing up here. I should only have my one field showing up here. So I need to click the little green or make the check mark green. And then I don't have any information plugged in yet. So I'm going to hit the plus button down here. And then it tells me what my yen ID is, the name of my field that I just did. It gives you some instructions. And then you can start with data entry. So first thing is we want to know what your cropping history is. So what was your previous crop last year, the year before, and then the year before that? So there's a couple things here. You got the pencil and then you got the arrow. The arrow is a drop-down list. So if you tap that, you get this list of previous crops. Now, if your previous crop you had is not in this list, you can hit cancel here and come back out, and then you'll be able to hit the pencil. And if you hit the pencil, now you can override it and you can actually type in what you want. So click in the box up here, and then you can say, I don't know, canola or whatever, and then tap OK. And so now you've got canola. And so now let's select our crop before that. Let's say, oh, I got canola in the list. Sorry about that. Let's say it was corn grain before that. And then let's pick the third crop ago. Let's say it was soybean, or if I can get it to select. There we go.
Dennis, is that for cash crop, or if you have a cover crop, you consider that?
Nope. There's a place to do cover crops right down below here. So don't put a cover crop in the cropping history. This would be your main crop in the field. Okay. So now let's go into cultivation strategy. So hit the arrow and you get the drop down. And when you get into cultivation strategy, we've got no-till, conservation, minimum, and conventional till. And we tried to give you some, these are actually definitions of what conservation till is, minimum till, and conventional tillage based on the Conservation Tillage Innovation Center. So based on residue, if you're not sure whether you're conservation or minimum, look at how much residue. If you're leaving more than 30% of the residue there, you're conservation. If you have 15 to 30% residue there, you're minimum. And then if you have less than 15, it's conventional tillage. So I'm just going to go up here and say no-till. And so no-till pops up in here. It asks you, do you plan to plant a cover crop after wheat this year? And that could be, you may have already interseeded clover. And if you have, just go ahead and hit yes here. And then what it does is if you hit yes, it pops down a window and asks you which ones. If you say no, that window goes away, and then you can keep on moving on your list. But I'm going to say we did put clover in here. So now you'll be able to select the ones. And if there's a cover crop that's not listed, again, you got the pencil there, so you can add the cover crop. But I've got clover in here, so I'm going to hit the arrow, and then there's clover. I'm going to tap that. Maybe. There we go. Now, if you did multiple cover crops, I can start selecting, as many as I want. So this is a multiple selection. So if you're doing mixes, you can add those in here, and then I'm going to hit OK. And then it lists them all there. Next question is, have cover crops been used in the last 3 years? And I'm going to say yes. And then, so what we're trying to get at is what, and the breakdown here is, what are your plans for cover crop on the current year? And then the question is, have you been doing cover crops in the past? And if you have, I don't care how you've been establishing them or what your method is or anything, just list off what the cover crops are that you've been doing in the past. In the past 3 years, and then just select whatever they are and hit OK. Okay. And then there's a question, was there manure or organic amendments added? Either yes or no. So I'm going to hit yes. And then when you hit yes, another question pops up. Was it dry or liquid? I'm going to hit the arrow, and I'm going to say we put on liquid manure here. Maybe. There we go. And then it pops up some more questions. All right. What was the amendment that was applied? Hit the arrow. And then I'm going to say we put on cattle slurry. And then the amount applied is, in this case, cattle slurry. We said we're going to put on a liquid, so it's the amount of liquid. Now over here, we've got the units, and this is what we call unit aware. So right now, this is set at gallons per acre. If I tap on that, whoops, there. If I tap on that, come on. Well, apparently I got fat fingers and I can't hit the button. But anyway, I'll show you on the web version. If you tap on that, you can get different units. So I'm going to plug in here 5,000 gallons to the acre, minimize my window here, and then I can add other manure amendments if I want. You can hit add section. And if you do, then you can add, if you've done like 2 different manure applications on the field, you can add those here. You can keep on adding sections as many as you want here. So I'm about done with this section. So I'm going to hit the save button. And notice at the bottom, it said form saved. So now I can hit the X and go backwards. And then I'm just going to quickly run through this on the app or on the web. So if I go into background here, and now remember, you got to open the form here this way. So here's your instructions again. So here's the same in your previous crop. So enter your cropping history. So I'm going to say last year it was soybean. Previous year it was corn grain. And the previous year it was, where's wheat? Right there, wheat. And then cultivation strategy, same thing, no tillage. And then do you plan to see the cover crop? If you say yes, then it pops up in here. Then you can select your cover crops. And I'm going to say we just put clover on. And then have cover crops been used in the past 3 years? I'm just going to say no. And was there manure applied? I'm just going to say no. Let me say yes, because I can show you the units. I don't know why it wasn't working with my fat fingers. So I said liquid, or we'll do dry this time. Let me change that to dry this time. And then notice you get this loading thing because it uses logic in here. So if you say no, you're done. If it says yes, then it pops up the next questions. So the amendment to apply, you hit the arrow. Now I've got some different things in here. So let's say I'm going to put on turkey litter or poultry litter. And then, so here's the units. Now it's in pounds per acre instead of gallons per acre because this is dry. But if I hit this unit, I can put kilograms per acre. I can do tons per acre, tons per hectare, tons per acre. And I'm going to put this in, I'm going to do pounds per acre actually for this one. And then you just type in the amount. I don't know, let's put on 400 pounds the acre. And then you can, so I'm all done with this app, or this form, hit save, and you're good to go. So that's the background form. Let's move on. Let's do fertilizer applications next. So you can either get there by clicking on fertilizer applications here, or if you go back to the main menu, you can click on fertilizer applications here. It basically is going to bring you right back. So you got fertilizer application selected. Notice it's gray here. Hit open the form. And now I want to show you a little bit about, this is going to be a little bit different because we have what we call repeating sections in here. So here's the window where you enter the data. Here's kind of a outline of the what is in this form. Notice you got one product here and a plus button. So I want to show you, let's say you have, this is your starter fertilizer that you're putting on. And this is actually from one of our state yield trial locations. So in this particular farm, in this particular year, we put on mez at 112.5 pounds the acre. We put on urea at 22.5 pounds the acre and white potash at 90 pounds the acre. The total amount we've applied was 225 pounds the acre. If you add those three up, that adds 225. What we want to do in the system is build exactly this as starter fertilizer. Okay. So the way we do that, let me go back to here. So we had, in this blend, we had 3 products, right? So we need to have 3 products listed here. So I'm going to hit plus one more time. And now I have my 3 products. So let's go to application date. I hit the calendar. And so this would have been done back, I don't know, I'll just pick a date. Let's say this was done. Let's say we put this on September 29th and we planted on the 30th. So we put starter fertilizer on that date. All right, the application timing pops up. And so we got to tell it what timing, or how did we apply it. And I'm going to say this was pre-plant incorporated. If you're putting it on in furrow with the seed, you would select this here for the map. And so if you did this fertilizer, this was broadcast applied on the whole thing. So if you did do a broadcast applied on the whole field, and then you also, notice this doesn't have any map in it. If you also put map down with the starter in the furrow, you're going to want to add that as a second application timing. And the way you do that is you go up and hit and add a new application timing here. So, but let's go ahead and finish this one up. This is going to be pre-plant incorporated. These are all dry products. So the first product was mez, right? So we've got mez at 112.5 pounds. So let's go in here and select our product, and there is mez. So we'll select that. And then I've got to plug in the pounds when that pops up. So the product rate was 112.5. And notice this is in pounds per acre. You remember this is units. You can always change this if you need to, based on what you're applying. Or maybe there we go. So if you're doing on per hectare or kilograms or anything like that, you can select the appropriate unit. And when you do that, it does all the conversions behind the scenes for us so that we know the exact amount of NPK and all the micros that you're applying. So product 2 here, let me open that blend up, was urea, and we put 22.5 pounds on. So let's go back in here and let's make this one's going to be a dry product again. And then we'll select urea in the drop down. Product is, whoops, there. Product is urea right here. And then we'll plug in the rate. That was 22.5 pounds. All right, so 22.5. And then product 3. Or did I do that right? No, what was the product on product 2? That was 22.5. I did that wrong. Sorry about that. 22.5. Okay, and then we go to product 3. And that product is a dry also. Sorry this is taking so long, but I wanted to make sure you understand how all this works. And that product was white potash, and that rate was 90. All right, so 90 goes in here. And then now this one is done. So we're going to want to save this. And now if I go back out here, it shows that we've made one application. And if I go all the way out here to the main menu, one thing that you can look at is this is just kind of an informational work list. If I click on here, it will. Okay, it hasn't done it. It hasn't brought it in yet. If you do this on your iPad or your phone, it'll show up here instantly. When you do it on the web, it updates once per hour. So come back here in an hour and look, and you'll see it there. But so let's go back to fertilizer application. Let's say you put MAP on in the furrow in the seed. So what we want to do is go back into our field for fertilizer. And so we have one application listed over here on the left. We want to add a new application to it. Okay. So notice now we have a second application. And let's say that this one was the date we planted. So I'm going to go back here to, what did I tell you that we planted? September 30th. And then let's say that we put on in the furrow with the seed. And let's go down here and select our dry product, and then we can add our MAP in there. So this allows you to plug in your starter fertilizer that is broadcast on the field. If you did do that, also add in what was added in with the, so I've got MAP and DAP in here. What was added with the at planting. So I can say we put on 100 pounds of MAP, and I've got it on per acre, and then I would hit save, and then I've got my 2 applications. So let's say that now you're in the spring, you've made your first application of nitrogen. So you go up here and hit, oh, I got to save this form. All right, so I think I did that. Application date is required. Oh, no, I messed that up, didn't I? All right, we're going to assume that it's there. And I'm just going to keep moving on, and I'm going to say, yes, data will be lost. So it's going to miss that because I didn't save it properly the first time. But let's say now you're in the spring and you're ready to put on, I don't know, we'll just pick today's date, and you're ready to go out and you say you're going to stream on 28% for your first product. Now, because I selected today's date, instead of asking me what method did I incorporate or apply in the fall, now it asks you what growth stage you are. If you are located in Canada, this will show up as the Zadok scale for the principal growth stage. And then it'll have the numbers And then, but because I'm in the US, we default to Feeks. So I'm going to go down here and say we're not at Feeks 3 yet because we are still tillering. So we're in Feeks growth stage 2, which would be, it'd be like 22 or 3, or depending on how many tillers you have, if you're in Ontario. Now let's say this is a liquid product. And then I'm going to go in and choose 28%. And then the product, so notice these products are all liquid here now. I got 1034-0, 624-6. There's a variety of them. And then you can also enter a custom blend. I'm just going to stick with 28% for now. And then it asks you, and then for me, I'm going to apply it in gallons per acre. You can hit this and change your rate or your unit again. And I'm going to say we put on, let's say we put on 20 gallons the acre up front here right now. And then I would save this. Okay. So it looks a little bit different in the app as far as adding fertilizer applications. I'll just quickly show you what the differences are in here. So you got to hit the check again to get into it if you're in the app. And then if you want to see your history, you can hit the H button to see what the previous ones that you've entered. But I'm just going to add a new one. I'm going to say we're ready to make our second application of nitrogen out there. So in here, notice, let me go back here into fertilizer applications. Or sorry, I was at the right spot. I showed you how to add products here. And so you hit this plus button to add a product if you're like mixing more than one. The way you do it in the app is a little bit different. Notice there's not that ability to add a product. And so down here is where you can add a product. So you hit this green bar at the bottom, but you have to fill this information out first. So let's say, I'm gonna say we're doing this on Friday. Whoops, there. I swiped instead of hitting the button. So 8th, say okay. And I got to tell it what growth stage again. So hit that, and we are still beginning of tillering. And then is this a liquid or dry product? So you select, this is a liquid product. Come on. And then it asks what product is applied. So here is where you would then select that. I'm going to hit custom or other and show you what's the differences here. So if you do this, let's say that you did 28% and you added some magnesium sulfate or some micronutrients or something else, or maybe you added some 1034-0 in, you can add that mix in here. So the amount you apply, you still have to plug that number in. I'm just going to leave it at 20 gallons the acre. And then what you have to do for the blend, if you're using some kind of a liquid mix from your co-op or local place, they will give you the percentages of each of the nutrients in here, and you actually have to plug those in here. So like, let's say I'm at, 30% or 30% nitrogen. Let's say I had some phosphorus in there. Let's go 25%. And then potassium is 0. And let's just say we added some sulfur in here, AMS. Actually, that's a bad example because I have AMS as a product you could tank mix. Let's say you're putting on some copper and boron. So I'm going to say you got 5% boron and 5% copper. And then, so here I can add another section or add a product at the bottom. So now I have, notice it says product 2 here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add some AMS. It's a liquid. You're going to hit the product here. And I'm going to say ammonium thiosulfate, ATS. And then I'm going to say we applied, 10 gallons to the acre. Okay. So now I hit save in this upper right corner here. and then that saves that application. Okay, so it says form saved at the bottom. So now you can hit the X and close out of here. So this is the way you put your fertilizer in here. You can add this stuff as you go and make applications or however. All right, so how are we doing on time? We're almost at an hour. I'll try to breeze through the rest of this here. So let's go into, oh, I went into background, sorry, wrong one. Whoop. So let's go into planting. I think you're going to be able to navigate your way around in here. You're starting to get the idea of how to do it. So I'm in this hill field. I'm going to hit the green check mark, go down here and hit the plus at the bottom. And okay, sorry. I'm not sure why I'm getting that, but so if you try to exit without saving, you will get this message. It says, are you sure you want to discard the changes? And if you really don't want to save it, then hit discard. If you are like, oh, you know, I didn't mean to discard them, I want them saved, hit cancel and then go save your form. But I'm not 100% sure why. All right, let me discard this. Let me see if I can get back in here. All right, so I got the green check. I'm gonna hit the plus button. Yeah, there we go. I'm not sure. First time through, it just didn't quite work right. So here you got some different fields. You got seeding date, seeding depth. And again, this is units again here. So if you want to report it in millimeters or centimeters, you can by just changing that unit there and then typing it in. Under seeds per acre or your seeding rate, this has got to be seeds per acre. So if you go in here and say, I applied 160 pounds per acre, it's going to give you an error at the end because that's outside of the boundaries. We want reported seeds per acre, not pounds per acre of the seed that you planted. Okay, so you might say that was 1.6 million. One more zero. All right, class of winter wheat planted. If you select that. So we've got the different classes: soft red winter, soft white winter, hard red winter. I'm going to say soft red. And then it asks you for the seed company. So you hit the arrow. And then it lists all the companies that sell soft red. It will, if a company only sells hard red or soft white, they will not be in this list. So I'm in Michigan, so I'm just going to hit Michigan Crop Improvement, MCIA. And then for variety, it will only select the varieties that are sold by that company. So I can choose, and these are all red varieties. Michigan Crop Improvement sells white varieties also, but they're not in this list because we selected red. So I'm just going to say, we'll do Red Devil in this field. You can type in your make and model. You can type in the row width in inches. So, and use a decimal point, like we do 7.5 inches here. So make sure you select that. You can choose a seed treatment down here, hit the arrow and it'll pop up. These are all the seed treatments. So let's say you're putting on Cruiser and Dividend or Cruiser and let's say Vibrant. Whoops, there, wrong one. Cruiser and Vibrance. I can scroll down and select Vibrance XL. Maybe, there we go. So I selected both of these in this list. So if you're doing multiple seed treatments, you can select whichever ones you have. And then I hit OK, and then it shows them up here. Notice I do not have the pencil here. If you have a seed treatment you're using that is not in the list, email me and I will add it to the list. I want to control this list somewhat rather than just have everybody type a bunch of stuff in. And then you can add if you put any biologicals on, and I'm just going to say no on this one and then hit save. And it's going to give me an error because my planting details, the seeding date is required. So I did not plug that in, and it's a required field. Notice it's red Red means it's a required field. So I'm going to hit the calendar and say we planted, go backwards here. I'm just swiping. Let's say what did I say we planted on 30th of September, and then hit OK.
Can we go back in and edit these once we've already put them in?
Yep.
Okay.
So, oops there. Okay. Let me hit the save button here first. And okay, so I got my save down here, so I know it did. Let me hit the X. All right, now let's say that you want to come back in here and edit this field and say, you know, while I didn't plug in some of the information, what you want to do is go down here and hit the H instead. And then this shows this was the information that you plugged in before. So if I tap up here, it will open the form back up. And then it has all the stuff in here. Notice I didn't put the seeding depth in. So now I can go in here and put the seeding depth in. And I'm going to say 1.25 inches. Okay, and then I can hit the save button. If I want to change, it's like, oh, this was the wrong rate. I didn't actually do 1.6. Let's say it was 1.4 million. So you can edit and change. And it's like, oh, I got the wrong variety. You can change the variety. Any information you want to change in here, you can. And then just resave it when you're done. Okay. And so I'm going to hit the X, get out of here. And get back to the main menu. So if you want to edit something within on the website, let's say what was I in? I was in planting there. All you have to do there is just go in and open the form. And then it loads all the information that you typed in. Okay, so, all right, so notice nothing shows up here because we did it on the app. Why is it not showing up on my web?
You haven't synced?
Exactly. Yes, I have not synced. So that's important to remember, is the synchronize button. So I'm not done yet, so I'm not going to do that. So let me go find something that I typed in on here. I did fertilizer in here, right? So let's say I want to go in and edit something that I did. You don't have to hit the H button or history button. You just go back into the form. So you're going to go back into this form and then say, oh, well, this was the wrong amount. I applied, 150 pounds or whatever. And then you save that. So that's how you would edit in here. Okay. So let me go back here. I know I'm at 1 hour here right now. I wanted to just quickly go through crop protection because there's some things in here. I'm not going to go through all the detail of actually entering stuff, but I did want to show you some things in here. This has repeating sections. And the way I want you to think about this, it asks you some basic information to start with, and then you start with product 1, and this is the carrier. Okay. So the first step, what I want you to do is when you come into this to enter information, consider yourself standing at the sprayer. What are you going to add first in the tank? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is add carrier. Well, am I going to do water or 28%? So I'm going to select water. And then it's going to ask you how much liquid, what the product, what gallons per acre are you going to spray? And so I'm going to type in here 15 gallons per acre. And then, so that's product 1. Now I can start adding products to it. And remember here, I hit the plus right here to add products. If I am in the app to add products, it looks a little different. I'm going to hit the green check mark, and I don't have any history, so I'm just going to hit the plus at the bottom. I don't know why I'm getting that, but discard, hit the plus, and yep. Okay, so now I'm back in here. So here's where I would then hit my carrier is water. And then the product amount, I said was 15. All right, now, so here's where I add a section for a product. And so now I can type in product 2, and I can add herbicide, fungicide, insecticide. And if you're tank mixing, you would just keep on adding a product for everything you're putting in the tank. So I put water in the tank. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Okay, I'm going to add a herbicide. Okay, so now I choose the product applied, hit the arrow to the right. And I'm going to say I'm putting Husky on. Where's Husky? Right here. And then, so the next thing is going to be the amount. And how much did I apply per acre? I'm not applying Husky in gallons per acre. I am applying Husky in, there it goes. So I finally got my fat finger to work. So I actually am, my rate for Husky is in ounces per acre. So that's what I'm going, whoops, there. I hit the wrong one. Ounces per acre. And now I go in and type in the ounces per acre. And I'm going to apply that at 12 ounces per acre. And so, all right, so I've got my herbicide in the tank. Now, let's say I'm going to add I don't know, maybe we got some early season disease. I'm going to add a fungicide. So I hit the add section, and now I've got another one of these, and now I'm going to hit fungicide. So I'm going to add a fungicide to the tank. Okay, and then it's basically the same thing. You hit the arrow, pick your fungicide. I'm going to do like maybe Folicure. Come on. And then, so again, with Folicure, the product amount, I'm not applying it in gallons to the acre. I want to do ounces. So I'll tap on that maybe. There we go. And then I'll hit my ounces per acre. And then I can plug in my rate and so on. And this is how you just keep on adding your products and your rates. You can add foliar nutrients. So if one of your applications, maybe you're using 28% as your carrier, and you're adding foliar nutrients, or maybe you're putting a fungicide on with foliar nutrients, you can add foliar nutrients here. It's going to ask you if it's a liquid or dry product. We added dry in here because manganese sulfate is a dry product, and we have a number of guys that are putting manganese on fields that have manganese deficiency problems. But it's the same kind of thing like we're doing fertilizer for liquid. I can upload a picture of the label or the product information if you have that. And then you just add how much product or liquid you're going to apply. And I'm going to call this in ounces per acre, or no, foliar nutrients. I'm going to call this gallons per acre, sorry. And then I'm going to say I put on 5 gallons of this product per acre. And then you have to enter the blend, what is it? And I'm going to say that, so I don't know, let's do some zinc at, I don't know, 6% zinc. And let's say we got some copper in this one at 9% copper. And so I've got those in here, and then let's say that's it. That's all I want to add into my tank. And then I hit the save button at the top up here. Oops, there. Oh, allocate. Oh, I didn't plug my date in. Shame on me. So I got to hit the application date. So hit the arrow or hit the calendar, and I'm going to put this out in May 9th, let's say, and I'm going to say, okay, then. Now I'm going to go up here and hit the save button. Okay, and it said form saved at the bottom. So that's what it looks like on the app. It's similar here, except instead of having the green button at the bottom to add product, you hit the plus here to add products. And so you just keep on adding products, so product 1 is always going to be the carrier, and then you can add herbicide, fungicide, insecticide, whatever. Some people are putting on biologicals. If you're putting non-ionic surfactant on, you'd hit additives. And then you can put your non or NIS or 1% whoops there percent NIS. So the idea is to build this the way you would build your spray tank. And then So you would save this. So you add a product here every time you're adding a product to your spray tank. And then if every time you go out and make a new application, then you would hit add new, because this is a new application. Okay. So if you're doing 2 fungicides, you got to plug that in. And I got to get up here and get a date in here. It doesn't like me. So now I can hit save. And then the only other thing that I wanted to show you in this app is the timings, because we're going to be rapidly approaching that here. In fact, we've got some of our growers in the south are getting close. One of the other things that we have is this reporting growth stages. So if you go into report growth stages, we need to know some of the key growth stages of the crop in your field and what days you hit them. So I'm going to open the form, and then in here we have our first target is ZX growth stage 10, which is Feeks 1. We want to know when the crop emerged. I know that happened last fall. Plug in your best guess on what date it emerged. If you don't have it written down, you don't have it written down, but give it your best guess on when it was. We are not to the second growth stage for most people yet, which is ZX growth stage 31 or Feeks 6, when 1 node is visible. But this is pretty simple. It's a calendar. You pick what date it is and you fill it out. So right now I only know this one. We haven't got to this stage yet, so I can't fill it out. So I'm just going to hit save. And this looks identical in the app if you're doing this in the app. One thing that I do want to add in here is for functionality is a photo. So when you enter the date, I want you to be able to capture a picture of it. And I want you to just look down on the crop canopy and take a picture. But I haven't even talked to Greg about doing that yet. But that's all there is to do in here. So this is kind of a quick summary of, or not really quick, but how you enter data into the system. You're free to use the website, and you're free to use the app here. So let me hit the X here and get back to the main menu. Now, remember, we had things that were not showing up on the web. We didn't hit the Synchronize button yet. So let me hit that Synchronize button right now and go down here and tap on the green bar. And now what it's going to do is send all the data that we typed in on the iPad, or if you're doing on your phone, whatever you type in on your phone, it's sending that data up to the server. So make sure you don't forget to do this every time when you start using it in the app, and after you get done using it in the app, make sure you do that synchronize. So with that, I think that about wraps things up for me. I'm happy to answer any questions. We will put the recording of this up on the website as soon as I get that edited. Hopefully later today, I'll have that up on the web.